What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 78 of Valuetown. I'm ChanManV, and I'm joined today by two guests, some of our favorite players and streamers in the community. Got Sjow here from Team Liquid, our resident warrior expert. How's it going, Sjow? Oh, I don't hear you, man. There you go. Oh, sorry, we missed you there for a second. What'd you say there?
All right.
There you go.
It's going good. I was a bit tilted earlier.
You're built tilted earlier. I think everybody's tilted a little bit.
Dude, I had the same, dude.
The same.
But it's all good now.
Normally it never happens to me on stream.
Well, and then we've got our second, our second Salt son, as we like to say it, since Ray is, I think, the original, the OG. But SuperJJ, our rogue expert here. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, we've been talking a lot actually before the show about all kinds of things going on with just the streams and everything. But today's show is going to be a lot of fun. We've got going to talk about an article or a post that Frodan posted a couple days ago, just about the current state of casting and some of the things that he'd like to see just improve and things like that. And I figured it'd be a good discussion. And then we're going to talk about some decks, a couple, or maybe one or two, actually two top decks that are going on in the meta, as well as just some fun decks that we're working on that are actually, these decks are decent. These aren't even like super fun decks like we talk about a lot of times on the show. So you could actually climb with some of the decks that we will be talking about. And at the end, of course, we'll do some Q&A with you guys, and be sure to tweet your questions to @ChanManV or at ValuetownGG. All right, so our week in Hearthstone, JJ, why don't you start things off, given that you've had such a great streaming experience, especially today.
I don't know, man. The game can be so triggering if you get like, it's just like, you want to be in a good mood, you stand up, and when you like just got a Temek and Totem got him, you're like, fuck this stream is over. it's just snowballing every time, man. And when you get salty and you can't do anything about it.
Oh man, Tuskar, seriously, man. Whenever I get Tuskar, man, I just get like healing totems and and taunt totems, maybe. Never get those totemics or those mana tide totems. So I feel you, dude. I definitely feel you. How about you, Sjow? Having any fun with Yogg, playing against it or playing?
I'm starting embracing it, so I'm having more fun. It's never fun to play against it, but it's the most frustrating stuff to.
I think your mic's cutting out a little bit.
Absolute best card.
Yeah, you need to put your mic closer.
Yeah, I think your mic's not picking up a little bit. So.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Definitely hear you now.
So. Yogg is it's either the absolute best card or the absolute worst card, and it's always great to play it yourself, but play against it is always frustrating, because I think that's, after Tuskar to Time, that's the most tilting card to play and lose to.
All right, we should rank these now. Okay, so that's two of them. So we were to
pick... guys. Okay. I have something really good. So this happened to me yesterday, right? So I played against the fucking token druid. Here we go, right? He has one of these wisps of the old gods there. Plays Yogg. He gets Savage Draw, Bloodlust, Victory on this fucking 1/1 token. Yeah?
Wait, he got double Bloodlust?
Yeah.
I've never had anything like that happen. Holy crap.
He fucking domes me with this 1 damage token for 20 damage. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I was done, dude. I was done.
Wow. Okay. I can honestly say I don't think I've had a Yogg, played against Yogg or had Yogg have like 2 spells in a row like that. 2 consecutive spells, the same spell. Does that happen to you guys a lot?
Probably has happened a lot. Like, I've died from like 30 life one time. He just played Yogg, hit me for 30 damage with like Heroic Strike, Feral Rage and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've had that happen before too. But double Bloodlust, that's another level, man. That's definitely another level.
And then you give it Wind Fury to make it even you.
Wind Fury? Oh my gosh, yeah, that's crazy. All right. Well, I mean, what else have you guys been up to? Any tournaments, any events this week, or maybe something upcoming? Getting ready for?
Where is Valencia next week, right? I'm flying to Valencia next week.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have seed stories soon. Players are not announced yet, so shouldn't go too deep into that, I guess.
I am announced for seed stories, so I can just say I'm actually going to seed story, but I'm not going to Valencia though.
Okay. Seed story is always a lot of fun, man. You guys been to you been to Tech's new place yet?
Yeah, it's super cool.
It was the last time.
Yeah.
Everything was happening.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that place looks like definitely huge and always a blast, obviously, with Dennis and those guys. All right, good stuff. How'd you guys finish on the ladder at the end of the season? I know how to trigger, man. I know how to trigger.
Like 110 or something.
Oh, no, man.
I had a similar experience.
Really?
Like,
oh, man.
I was ranked 20 like 12 hours before, so I went to bed. And it always, like, I played on NA, so it always ends at 2 a.m. in the morning. Woke up like 4 minutes before. I checked my rank. I am ranked 99. Obviously, I have to play. So I just used to.
Oh, this is the rope. This is rope theory right here.
I just lose.
Yeah.
So I just lose the game. So I didn't get any points, sadly. And I actually needed a lot of points because of last chance qualifier. So kind of sucks. But
man.
like the decay is so huge. Like I think this season was the most decay I ever decayed. Like from 12 hours before.
Yeah.
That's so insane.
That's actually 70, dropping 70. I think so. You were normally safe, right? I mean,
yeah, but not this season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You're never safe in Hearthstone.
Never safe in Hearthstone. Oh man, the ladder paranoia that happens at the end of seasons is just another level. It just keeps increasing every season. Definitely crazy, man. But well, anyways, you got one more month, right? I mean, right, another month before you can you can earn some points, get into the next one.
I think I only have 6 points now.
Yeah.
I need to get like top 50, I think.
Oh man. Okay.
Top 50 to qualify for prelims, or
yeah. I think.
How much points do you think you need?
Like 30.
It was 13 last time, right?
Yeah. Shouldn't get more, right?
That's not including events and stuff, right? You guys go on events and stuff, right? You get some points there, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't really rely on that.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, I just win them, right, Kappa?
Yeah, JJ just wins them. But for our regular clubs, we can't rely on that.
You gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. All right, well, the ladder starts up again, obviously, right now, and it sucks that we have to pretty much wait 3 weeks. I know Sjow usually get really, really high, just even the first couple weeks, and then just kind of ride it through until the very end. But I feel like the first 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks is just kind of like, oh, we're just waiting around. It's like regular season in another sport. It's like, who gives a shit, right? And then we wait until like playoffs for the last week or so, and then it gets like
the first 2 weeks is like you play random stuff, and then
you
try to start tryharding a mid-month or something. Try to get a good rank and then start camping. Really.
Yeah, the problem is like if you I went to so many. So you can't really play ladder a lot because it's so different to play on ladder or prepare for tournaments. Didn't have the time for that.
Yeah. Which brings up an interesting thing too that we talked about a little bit, JJ, and you too, Sjow. I wanted to ask you guys, given that Sjow, you're a successful streamer at this point, and JJ, your stream's starting to pick up actually now after all this time. No, I'm just kidding. After obviously some huge wins you've had and lots of success that you've had in winning, is it possible to be a top player, like a tournament winning player, and be a successful streamer? Given the schedule, I mean, Sjow, I know you have like really, just strict daily schedules that you stream at.
So you mean just competitor, huh?
Yeah, I mean, just like being a top competitor, just practicing being.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Like you can first of all, you have like probably 16 hours a day where you don't sleep, right? So you can't. I mean, this is how you do it, right?
Yeah.
So you can't possibly like practice all 16 hours. So I can effectively, when I practice like with Stan or a live course or some other guys, it's just like maybe if I hardcore practice like 4 to 5 hours, we are already like super exhausted because you go really in depth analysis. When you have like 10 hours left, right? Like it's just like, what do you do with this time? You will not practice effectively. Maybe you take a break and can practice more. But yeah, I think it's just smart to combine both. Like if you and it also like the streaming also, you make the most part of the living, like you get sponsored and stuff from the stream, right? And you also want to give back the community something. That was also a really big part for me. Like these people who always supported me in the beginning when I had like 500 viewers all the time, like if I had a high amount of viewers or like just 100 viewers, these people helped me getting into that, and I always want to give back something like this. So it will, for me, probably never be a point, and I really don't know many people who can do that. Maybe Stan is the only one in Osaka. Like these are maybe the two people who I remind.
That can just not stream, you mean, and do super well at tournaments? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, maybe if you get like,
Okay. Sjow, what do you think? I mean, you have these blocks of streaming time where you do nothing but stream. How does that impact your skill level in terms of Hearthstone?
I mean, obviously, if I stream, I will not get the ideal practice. I will not be the best Hearthstone player I could be. Like, I would just try hard, practice with other players all day. Obviously, I would have a better, because the practice on ladder is not the best, like as it could be. And also, like when you stream, you're not focusing game like 100% every time, so the practice is very inefficient sense, but it's still practice. Like you still get to learn the deck well, and you like I would say it's efficient enough to play high level, but it's never gonna make you the best player, I would say, like, or the best player you can possibly become.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. This is like perfect.
Yeah, but from the same.
But also, like, streaming is also more fun in a sense. So because streaming is more fun, you can put in more hours. So in that sense, maybe you play more. So you kind of learn more, but it's not as if it.
So in terms of the progression, with making a living as a Hearthstone player, is having a large stream pretty much the end game here for Hearthstone players, or do you think it's still possible that Hearthstone competitive like tournaments and things will get to a point where at least the prize money will be big enough that guys like Osaka and those like Stan that you mentioned can make a good living?
These guys, like, it's like really like Osaka. We have to win the world championship.
Well, okay, barring the world championship.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty rough, right?
Yeah, but do you see a time where the tournaments will get there? Of course, right now it's not. I mean, I don't think the prize money is enough that we could sustain a lot of players. But do you think it'll ever get there?
Depends how the Hearthstone progress. Like, and at the moment, Hearthstone is just progressing really well, and Blizzard is just backing it up really well. The new expansion is awesome, right? I didn't expect it to be that good. The community is growing bigger, and I think the prize pool is twice as much this time at BlizzCon. And also, if I look at tournaments, like this summer, there are so many tournaments, and the prize pools are getting bigger and bigger, right? Like, I think there are like now 4 DreamHacks. With all of them, your first place gets 8K instead of just one really big DreamHack, like DreamHack Summer and DreamHack Winter. So I think it can get there, yes. But also you have to see, I think the big money tournaments will also be, you will get invited in there because you have a community around you and people want to see you, right?
Right.
That's how it is.
Well, it's always been the invitational thing, right? But recently, I have to say, I feel like there's more and more open tournaments nowadays, and to some extent, I don't think we see that as. Part of me feels like I don't think we see enough of the invitationals nowadays, which is kind of a crazy statement.
Okay.
But there are times where it's like, I'd like to see you versus just some of the other, more notable people just playing each other versus having open tournaments that have a lot of names that a lot of people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's always nicer to see someone you know or you seen stream or you have some kind of like relationship with, in a way.
Relationship,
what's the word I'm looking for? Not relation. Some kind of like.
So I mean,
contact.
just you're fans of, or you're
like you play someone on ladder, for example. You're familiar
okay.
with the name at least. Like if it's two complete randoms,
Mm-hmm.
I would never watch it. But if it's like JJ against a random, that's much more interesting because I would like to see either if I don't like JJ, I would like to see him lose, or if I like him, I would like him to win. And at the same time, this other guy can actually surprise me.
Yeah.
Play really well, and then I would be, oh shit, he's actually good, and I would keep his name in my memory, and I will remember him for the next time he plays, and I would be hyped for the next time he plays.
Ooh,
but when it's like two complete randoms, I would never watch it. That's something.
Yeah, that's kind of what we see.
I see something interesting in chat, like somebody saying like all streamers losing viewers, the big ones, Colento, Strife, Grimace. But I think this is like I really want to answer this question because I think it's super interesting.
Okay, sure.
I think it's different. I think it's more like there are more bigger, more known streamers now. Like it's just splitting up more. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of a couple things. I think that there is a little, like you said, just more streams to watch. There are just more, different streamers that people enjoy too. So you really have to choose. And sometimes two of your favorite streamers are streaming at the same time. And unless you dual stream, which some people do, multi-stream or whatever, just have two windows up or just have, the website that you can watch both. For the most part, you have to choose one or the other. But also, I think there is a slight, I think that the streaming numbers have gone down a little bit in Hearthstone just because of other games too, like Overwatch coming out or whatever other popular game comes out too. That just takes the attention for a little bit, But still, I mean, Hearthstone is still top 4 on Twitch, so it's doing fine. Hearthstone's not going anywhere.
What do you think about that show?
I think Sjow is right and you're right about people have more to choose from now, and it's this up. But also like right now, or in the beginning of Old Gods, see a real rise in views. Like always in the beginning of a new expansion, it's always a rise, and then it kind of lowers down until the next expansion.
That's
so
true.
Right now it's in middle ground. So right now it's like stable, but I think at the end of right before the next expansion, at its lowest again.
Yeah, but when is the next expansion coming? 2 weeks?
I know it should be. It should be pretty soon. I would think maybe in a month and a half. I would say.
Well, it's set 4 expansions a year, right? 4 expansions a year, right?
Yeah. So maybe like a month and a half, 2 months. So we're probably halfway through, at least maybe a little bit past the midpoint for the next expansion. But yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you there, Sjow. I think it does have a lot to do with it. Have you seen your numbers? How have your numbers been? I feel like your numbers have been pretty consistent, even just for the last year. It's been pretty steady.
Like I had like right before the expansion, I had an average of 2,000, but I also played different games because I wasn't that hyped about Hearthstone at that point.
Yeah.
So and also it reflected, like people could see that. People saw that I didn't really enjoy it as much, and people don't like that. I mean, they enjoy it more when I'm actually enjoying the game.
Yep.
And right when the expansion came out, I started liking it again, and yeah, I've been streaming like almost every. It's been going well for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think again, Hearthstone, I think it's doing fine. Streaming wise, it's still doing good, and the top streamers, I think, still get a healthy amount. I mean, Crip still gets ridiculous amounts, like every time he streams.
Yeah, so, Crip is so almost amazing. He's putting up so much content. I think he does so much time, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good example of just like hitting it huge when Old Gods came out and maintaining it basically the last 2 months. So
I even think like when he streams, Hearthstone is at its peakest, like in category wise. Like it's always
that's
at
like
its
late,
peakest.
really? You think that's like super late at night too? Whenever he streams.
But it's like at sometimes it's not like he has like 30K sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And at some point of the day, that's not even like the total amount isn't even that number. So he probably brings in like people that really don't really watch Hearthstone, but also only watch him.
Yeah,
that is true. Yeah,
that's amazing because that time slot used to be the worst time slot that he was in, or close to it. Maybe a few hours before the worst, the graveyard shift, right? At least the people in the U.S. would call. So if you think that Hearthstone is actually at its highest during that time, that's an awesome. That's really different than what it used to be, because the daytime used to be the most competitive, where we'd have just all the Trumps and the Moz and all the stuff just streaming at the same time. You guys, in Europe streaming early too. So that's pretty interesting. If it is indeed, he probably has like 95% of all viewers during that time slot, because it's pretty slow during that time. So. Yeah, exactly. All right, well, why don't we move on? We talked a lot about that, so let's talk about some casting here. Frodan came out with this article. Let me show you guys. It was a really good article. Frodan, bless his heart, man. He's always doing some great things, and this particular thing was his basically second post, really talking about the current state of casting. And if you didn't read the previous one, what he does is he kind of goes in, really analyzes what's going on with casting, and even for himself as well as the other casters, and what trends are happening and what he feels like needs to happen. Frodan's perfect person, I feel like, to analyze this, and he's these articles are very well thought out. So yet another one that he wrote here, which was casting call number 2, as you can see. But kind of wanted to go through it just kind of point by point. If you guys haven't read it, let me link it to you guys in the chat, and for the audio listeners, I'll definitely link it to on the webpage, so you can check that out. But he starts off by really summing up that just all the things that are good, just kind of what happened actually after his last post, which is talking about like establishing narratives and things like that, and how casting has improved from there. But he starts listing kind of points that need to need to improve. And the first thing that he talks about is really the fact that it's hard for casters to differentiate top players. Since there's a lot of new faces now, right? Like when we're talking about HCT, we do get like maybe 1 or 2, sometimes even 3 of people that repeat each season, like from the winter season to the spring season. But for the most part, we do see like a large number of new faces in terms of the top 8. What do you guys think of that? I mean, it definitely makes it hard for casters to establish some kind of narrative, and just for the spectators, and show, like you were just talking about, how if it's just 2 random people, you just don't want to watch. So what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, this NA I actually didn't watch. I just knew Napoleon.
So you just Napoleon was from last time, right? So yeah.
But I tried to watch when he was playing, but other than that, it wasn't very interesting for me. But like, I know like Napoleon from either Twitch, he's a lot, and also from ladder. So that gives me like some kind of sense of let's see how good it is, like how he can play on pressure. It's very interesting to see a familiar face from internet, how he is in real life. It's interesting. But if it's 2 complete randoms, it's not so interesting.
Okay, well,
unless someone is really really hyped up by the casters and says, "Oh my god, this new up and coming player is good," then it might give me some kind of attention on those games, but otherwise,
I mean, with Napoleon, how much of it was really his play versus like the mannerism and just all the buzz going on around that, people wanting to watch that?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting for sure.
Dude, it was hilarious.
So,
it was
so
actually
this special, right? Like it's always exciting to see something like that happen. It does, like, because he's so, I mean, it's so special in a way, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you never know what's gonna happen, really.
Exactly. All right, JJ, what do you think about this?
About the whole, take the article as a whole,
or no, just that particular point, which is, right now the casters have to cast these players that that a lot of people don't know, or the spectators don't know, and the community is always kind of pointed at the casters. It's like your responsibility to like make me like these people, and I don't know how fair that is actually.
I mean, the thing is, like, this is what Blizzard choose for this year's BlizzCon trip, right? So casters basically have to adapt to that, or we're getting fucking burned and never cast again. So that's their job at that point. It's also that we as competitive players have to realize, right? It's not the casters' fault. We make them cast like that also, kind of. So is that good? That is a different question, right? Is it a good idea on praising these players? I think it's kind of
I guess a better question maybe is, do you think overall the production, HCT production, and the casters are doing like as good a job as they can do, trying to make it interesting?
I think it's getting stale. I think it's just straight up like, yeah, it's kind of we have some really good casters there and some really disappointing. Like sometimes we just drop in some random guy. What was it, Frank Lepore or something? I was like, what the fuck? Like literally, like yeah. I think he had no clue what he was talking about. And then we have like some super amazing casts like Subtle, and Frodan is also like always summing it up, like also making it pretty entertaining for viewers. So you have to really make. I think these caster teams they have now, like they have a really good like roster by now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I feel like they've solidified this roster. And Frank, I mean, throwing in Frank, it's good to get new names in there, or else we wouldn't have had like the Subtle.
Yeah, but he has at least to understand the game.
Okay, all right, fair enough. But he does have media. I mean, you can tell he's done media before. But yes, we'll be talking about caster knowledge in just a second. All right, so that's one of the bullet points. But so you think they're doing? I mean, given the players that they have, you think they're doing a pretty good job of just trying to? I mean, they do interviews, right, on the production. They try to do these B-rolls, right, trying to get to know the players. You think that's working to an extent, or could the players do more? I mean, what do you guys think?
I think they should. I think they should list up like achievements of each player in some sort.
I think that'd be good
because like you have no idea like if like let's say someone is really good at ladder, a lot of people don't know that, and think that up like, oh, this guy is like top 10 in ladder finishes overall or something like this. That's actually extra like that hypes the player up.
Yeah.
I was laughing so hard at some point where I had these statistics.
Oh my gosh. What? It must be real funny.
Some guy had like 48 win percentage on ladder, and they just say to his name, I was like, yeah, that's an achievement.
Wait, 48%? What?
He made it to this point with 48%. And I was like, that's something you want to show on stream.
Yeah, that's terrible, man.
Yeah.
That's like...
I'm not sure how you climb ladder, winning 48% of the time on ladder.
He must have been a tavern hero, right? No way you could get like top 100 with 48%.
I don't know,
it's
man.
impossible. Yeah, definitely impossible. Unless you had some super quality wins because matchmaking was just extremely terrible. So that brings up the second bullet, which is no statistics. I mean, there's basically no statistics for casters, and sometimes they get them wrong, possibly, given that what SuperJJ said. I think you probably could dig really deep to find, just how many times they've been in top 100 legend, like you're saying, Sjow. But that
there is site for that. I can find it in like 2 minutes. I forgot the name of it, but
Mhm.
there is actually a site. Do you know it, JJ?
What?
The site that tells you,
Like,
I guess.
Yeah. Crane told me, but I don't know the site
Okay, so
anymore.
there is
So
one. There is a site. It'd be
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Anybody in chat that has it, like, definitely let me
They
know.
should just they should just change the achievements. Like I think they didn't really think about the achievements they're trying to show on stream. They should just change the achievement roster. We want to show like top 100 legend is like super amazing. You can at least like see some consistency, which on ladder is also worth something, right? Or
Yeah.
like was he at some dream hacks participating, or has like maybe has his results also been like mediocre, not always like he's the new superstar, right? That's something that's interesting for me.
What, that he's just lucky that he's in the top 8 for the most part?
No,
What the hell, dude?
No. But they show the real results and not just
Right.
praise them to fucking here.
Yeah. I hear you there. That's one of the points actually too in this article is that I think the casters have been in praise mode a little bit too much.
Yeah, or like just like they could just talk to the player like, what's your favorite deck? And they could just say, like, for example, for JJ, it has always been the talking point that he's a rogue expert, and they always emphasize so much on it. And then whenever JJ plays rogue, you're really hyped for that, right? If you're like interested in that class, for example, like new ability, he's like a good guy, and like what their best deck are basically, what they are expert at. That's also interesting, for example. And if they play that in their lineup or whatever.
Well, I guess that's a way to characterize the guys, right? Like, instead of just focusing on personality with these interviews, which they have been trying, then you kind of create this Hearthstone personality by calling out whether he's a specialist in something, and that's actually a good point, Sjow.
I think
cool,
they should
do that
that's
more.
super cool. That's a super amazing idea, yeah.
Yeah, I think they should do that more too. Yeah, so it's a tough. It's definitely a tough challenge. I mean, when you basically have to create a character in some ways. That it takes creativity, especially when you don't know these people. So
it's so sad for me at some point because you have so many ways to do that, and I feel like they kind of choose the worst one by just praising everyone, just instead of just putting, like, you have so many ways to like make players attractive, and they choose just the easiest one, from my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caster game knowledge. So you obviously mentioned Frank earlier. One thing that Frodan says is that a lot has to do with just casters, knowing the game well enough instead of just having these general, these general phrases like, druids need ramp, or rogue with coin and combo kind of cards are really good. And a lot of times the casters kind of go into that mode. So there's not really anything in depth that's being said, and eventually I feel like the spectators or all of us viewers, it just kind of starts sounding the same to us, especially from caster to caster. So in terms of the caster knowledge right now, what do you guys think? Like, do you guys? I mean, obviously, I would think that you guys appreciate casters that have the most knowledge, like players. Are those the favorite type of casters that you like to listen to right now? Sjow?
Well, there need to be a balance. I think you need to have someone who can talk a lot, and also someone next to him that is good at the game. So if it's a good mix, another broadcaster, and that's the best way to go with it.
Okay, so you think there should be a split? You still think there should be like a more play-by-play or just kind of transitional guy, and then an analyst?
Yeah, there should be a play-by-play, but there should also be knowledge. But to be honest, like, it's very hard for casters to... Like, it's very important for the caster not to... If they are gonna bash someone, they have to be correct about it.
Right.
Like, if they say, this guy sucks, he's doing the wrong play here, and they are actually wrong, that is the worst thing that can happen. Or the other way around, that he says, he's doing a really good play here, doing this blah blah blah, but it's actually incorrect. That is the worst thing that can happen. Then basically lie to the viewer that this guy is actually bad or good. So,
I mean,
so it's...
Go ahead.
You have to, like, be really good. Like, you have to be respectable. And there's actually a lot of good cast. He's it's like he got like top 100 last season. And I have heard some of his casts where he talked like, I remember talked about like Control Warrior versus Murloc Paladin. He was really on point on everything. Like he understood the matchup from the Warrior's perspective. Very, very good.
Yeah, who was it? You broke up a little bit when you were talking about.
Asuma Cutie.
Oh, yeah, I love him as well. He's actually
TJ. We're talking about TJ, guys.
TJ, TJ. He because he actually plays as well. Like he's a high level player, so he understands. Like when he plays enough, he will understand the matchup like we do. So you would respect his opinion as a player most of the times. Like he's not always right, of course. Like even like top players aren't always right. But most of the time, right. And also Frodan, even though Frodan like he doesn't play the meta decks. Like if he would like play the meta decks and try as a player, it would increase his knowledge. Like he would be a really good knowledgeable caster. Lothar as well and Savage, they have both been pro players, but they have to play the game as well, and there's not enough time. Like how could you possibly cast full time and be a pro player full time? It's so hard. So it's very hard to be very critical as a caster if you don't back it up, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's the paranoia that I think casters have to go through, right? And that's kind of why it's kind of led down this more generic route where you're only saying good things and you're not, you know, taking that risk because you're just so afraid of being wrong and how that looks and just, you know, just all that good stuff. So I mean, you nailed the nail on the head there with that. JJ, you about to say something?
I like perfect, like how he said it as well. Just like
exactly.
the mix is so important. Like you have like somebody who's more talkish and somebody super. Like I like what is happening at the moment. Like you see it more often now. Like you have like one player cast because Firebat is getting in there. And when you have somebody like Nimsh, it's so good. Or Frodan, it's so good to have somebody like Firebat on the desk he's a world champion, and you're like, yes, this guy has a clue, and we have like another guy who keeps the show together. It's so nice to watch. I really love it. And this is just something I want to see. And
yeah, when you have the right combo, it's definitely really good. And man, Hearthstone casting is so different than any other esport. You know, I do agree that there should be like a color guy or a guy that's more of like the host caster, I guess you could describe them. And then there's the guy who's usually a player, right? The analyst. But I think Hearthstone is one of those things where it's like it requires more from the analyst and it requires more from the host caster too. The host caster has to have more game knowledge, like definitely than other games. And then even the analyst has to have more personality too, because there's a lot of just like, you know, goofy talk and just, you know, non-Hearthstone talk that
I'm also kind of sad. I'm also kind of sad, like if these people are casting, like if Firebat is casting, nobody knows this guy is actually world champion. Why do I not just show something like this on the cast? Like I don't have a clue why you don't do that. Like this guy is a world champion, right? He won the BlizzCon, and we're like, oh, it's just a caster guy. Like why don't they also personalize the cast like that? It's pretty sad for me.
I mean, forget just casting. I mean, it's just generally title holders like world champion. I mean, how many times do we use the world champion term for a Firebat these days? It's like very rare. There's probably a good number of people that don't even know that he was the first world champion. So I think that's a general issue in the community right now with, you know, whether it's historic achievements or it's even ranking system. And that kind of leads back to those statistics. You know, there's no ranking system. It's just like HCT rankings, and they're different regions, and we have to go by that. We've talked a little bit about that already on the show in the past, but it continues to be an issue, unfortunately, and it makes it difficult, again, for our casters to you know, make these guys interesting for everybody. So do you think they should be calling out bad plays more? I mean, you said it's risky, Sjow, and I mean, we've seen people make, you know, say wrong things in other broadcasts, like other games, other sports and stuff like that before. But it's because their reputation, you know what I mean? Like the reputation of the person saying it has a lot to do with it. So even if they're wrong sometimes, it can be okay. You know, like if Firebat says something wrong, I think it's fine actually if he says something that might be wrong, just because again, like he's already proven how good of a player he is. But generally, do you think they should be calling stuff out more?
They probably should. It would be more interesting for sure. But like you said, it's very risky, right? Like it could also backfire a lot in a way. I mean, you should probably like, for example, RDU when he casts, he's like
RDU is savage, dude. Savage.
He's not very political, right? At all.
No,
like he
he's
just
not.
says this sucks, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a pro caster, you probably should say, oh, maybe he's also add like he played bad here, but also it's his first tournament. Most people don't play as their like A game when they play the first tournament or nervous here. You know, be a little like not too harsh, Because
I mean,
if you bash someone too much, it just feels bad, right?
I mean, you're not there to bash someone on stream, right? It's just not. That's not what we are talking about. I guess it's more about like if you're allowed to call them out, not just praise them. Like this is the thing. I think I think it's allowed about how you tell it, or how you describe the situation. So it's like, yeah, maybe the situation like this was maybe or probably the better play overall, or maybe he saw an other line, but not just say, oh, it's perfect what he did, man. He just traded his 7/7 into 1/1 minion. Like, it's just amazing. Like, he's so
good. He's so good.
He actually takes the board, and you're like, yeah, not like this.
Yeah, I think one point that Froden makes in the article too is that not calling out people. That makes all the players just kind of seem at the same level too, right? And that's an issue that we have. It's just like why is this player better than the other player? And having to call out some misplays, I mean that's kind of different. Starts to at least make the viewer or the spectator understand the differentiation of maybe the skills of these players, or just the minute difference, right? That this player might be just a tiny bit better because of this play. So. Yeah, I think that needs to happen, and I mean some of the casters, I think some of the casters probably actually, are just holding back, even though they would be right. I think more times than not if they were to say something, and it's just a matter of doing that. Another thing that Frodan mentions here is really affirming your authority as a caster, and I think that's what leads to just the confidence in being able to do that, which is. Finishing super high on ladder, just like showing the viewers that, you do know what you're doing, you do know, have knowledge and having the production be able to show that in some way so that the spectator trusts you, like they know that what you're saying is probably right because you're a top level player. And we're starting to see that. You mentioned TJ. TJ finished, I think, top 25 this last ladder, or at least
that's so amazing.
That. Yeah. So
that's crazy. And he did it with his own deck as well. That's even more crazy.
Yeah, that is it. The Zoo deck, right?
Yeah, the Yogg-Soo, whatever.
Crazy.
I haven't tried it.
Spreading madness. Zoo deck.
It's fucking.
I lost like 5 straight times with that deck when I tried it. Man, it was not good for me. So kudos to him for being able to do that. That's amazing. But I bet
there's like a lot of good casters actually, for sure. Like Admirable, for example. He's also one of those. Like he's a player caster, right? Mm-hmm. But he plays a lot of aggro decks, but still he finishes top 100, so he knows what he's doing with the aggro decks.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's, obviously what you say and the actuality of it is very important, but a little bit has to do with just perception too. So the community needs to like feel that, oh, all right, you are the analyst, you know what you're talking about, and I bet there's some people that don't know TJ's that great of a player, honestly, because he normally is like the host caster on the panel. So again, like the host panel, the host guys, they need to definitely have that knowledge too. Frodan's finished top 100 too, like a few times, and he always gets legend in every single region, or he's done it like once or twice, just legend in every region just within a month. So he's definitely completely capable and knowledgeable too of the game. But yeah, anyways, any last thoughts just on the article in general, just general casting, what we need? I mean, how about just throwing some ideas out? What do we need? Do we need...
first of all, we need guys like Frodan, who's like already in a super good position to make other This is something I respect like super high. Like he just wants to make the community better, the game better. This is so amazing. Like having somebody in his position writing these articles. Like first of all, this is what we need, right? People like him, like being still critical about the scene or about casting and stuff. This is like what makes things better, right? And he's just riding on his cloud and having a happy time. That's actually
right.
Yeah, I think that's
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he in some ways, he's trying to make his competitors better in a way, right? And I think a lot of people look at it like that instead of looking at it, like you said, like as a community, and really just trying to better the product or better the Hearthstone production and just the Hearthstone community generally. So he's always been like that. I mean, Frodan's always had the community on his mind and been generous in that standpoint, and an ambassador for Hearthstone. So yes, we need more people like that. Absolutely. Sjow, what about you? Any comments or any last thoughts or things that we need to add or we should see in casting?
Yeah, probably more, like you said, like more critical. But you said you need to be able to respect the caster as well, because just look foolish.
Yeah,
like Frank Kappa would
poor Frank, dude.
Plays.
Poor Frank.
That
would look silly,
Yeah,
there have been people before him. It's just he's just the recent one.
Yeah. And actually, one last comment too about that is just that I think one, I wouldn't say lazy way, but one way that people have been trying to do it just really quickly is just to have a player, like a pro, come in and cast. And sometimes that's not the right way to do it too. Like, we need people who are media trained too, or can cast well. So the people that can cast well need to work on it, on their just game knowledge and building up that way. So
I mean, most of the players are media trained since they're streaming as well. So it's pretty easy.
Well,
to
dude, just because you're streaming doesn't mean you're media trained. All right, I don't know that.
But you're kind of right. You're kind of.
You're used to being in front. You're used to being in front of people, but not necessarily articulating plays and in a very professional atmosphere, right? It's
also you say different. We are not professional.
No, I'm saying like in a casting when you're casting with another person.
I see.
JJ. You're oh man, you can call me. You can call me out the first event that you cast, and you can just say, just eat it, ChanManV. Just suck it, ChanManV.
He doesn't take us serious.
No. All right.